I still remember the night that changed everything. It was a cold, quiet evening, and the wind outside seemed to whisper secrets only it knew. My phone vibrated on the kitchen counter, pulling me away from the book I had been reading under the warm glow of my desk lamp. Seeing Anna's name light up the screen made my chest tighten. She rarely called, and when she did, it was usually for something she wanted. I hesitated before answering, already bracing myself for whatever storm was brewing. "Lily," she began, her tone clipped and sharp, "we need to talk." The way she said it sent a chill down my spine. She wasn't wasting time with pleasantries. "You're not invited to the wedding." I blinked, stunned. "What, Anna, what are you talking about?" She took a deep breath, the kind that seemed to hold back a flood of anger. "Mark has feelings for you, Lily. I can't risk having you there. It would be too uncomfortable." The words hit me like a slap. Mark, her fiancé, the man I'd barely spoken to outside of polite family gatherings. "Anna, that's ridiculous," I said, my voice shaking. "Mark doesn't have feelings for me. This doesn't make any sense." Her laugh was hollow, sharp, like the snap of a twig underfoot. "Don't play dumb. I see the way he looks at you, how he listens to you. You've always tried to take what's mine." The accusation hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. "I'm not trying to take anything from you," I whispered. "You're my sister. I would never do that to you." But Anna wasn't listening. She never did. "You've always been jealous of me," she said, her voice rising. "And now you're trying to ruin my life. Just stay away, Lily." She hung up before I could respond, leaving me standing in the middle of my kitchen, the silence around me deafening. I stared at the phone, replaying her words over and over. How had it come to this? My relationship with Anna had never been perfect, but this was a new level of hostility. Anna and I had always been different. She was the golden child, the one who could do no wrong. My parents adored her, showering her with praise and attention for every little achievement. She was the star athlete, the honor roll student, the social butterfly. I was not. I loved art, books, and quiet afternoons spent painting or reading. I didn't fit into the mold my family had created, and it showed. Growing up, I tried to bridge the gap. I'd show Anna my sketches, hoping she'd see the passion behind them. Instead, she'd shrug, her attention already elsewhere. My parents weren't much better. "Why can't you be more like Anna?" they'd say, their disappointment etched in every word. Over time, I stopped trying. What was the point? No matter what I did, I'd always be the odd one out, the black sheep in a family of golden geese. College was my escape. Moving out felt like breaking free from a cage I hadn't realized I was trapped in. For the first time, I could breathe. I spent holidays with my grandparents, whose home was a haven of warmth and acceptance. They didn't care about accolades or appearances. They just loved me for who I was. It was a stark contrast to the suffocating expectations at home. But last Christmas, I decided to go back. It had been months since I'd seen my family, and part of me hoped things might have changed. Mark was there, sitting next to Anna at the dinner table. He was polite, kind even, asking about my life in a way that felt genuine. He laughed at my stories, shared a few of his own, and for once I didn't feel invisible. Anna noticed. Her eyes darted between Mark and me, her expression tightening with every laugh, every shared glance. I didn't think much of it at the time. Why would I? Mark was just being polite, and I was enjoying the rare feeling of being included. But for Anna, it was a betrayal. That night, as I was helping clean up in the kitchen, she cornered me. Her voice was low, her words cutting. "I know what you're doing," she hissed. "You're trying to take Mark from me." I stared at her, dumbfounded. "What?" "Anna, that's not—" "Don't lie to me," she snapped. "You think I don't see it? The way you laugh at his jokes, the way he looks at you. You've always been jealous of me, Lily, always. And now you're trying to ruin my life." Her words stung, each one sharper than the last. "Anna, I'm not trying to take anything from you," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "I'm happy for you and Mark. I don't know why you're saying these things." But she wasn't listening. She never listened. To her, I was the villain in her story, the jealous little sister trying to steal her spotlight. She stormed off, leaving me alone in the kitchen, my heart heavy with a mix of anger and sadness. The weeks that followed were a nightmare. Anna's hostility escalated, her accusations growing more outlandish with each passing day. She started excluding me from family gatherings, spreading rumors about me to anyone who would listen. My parents didn't question her, they never did. To them, Anna could do no wrong. I was the problem, the difficult one, the black sheep. I tried to ignore it, to focus on my own life, but it wasn't that simple. Anna wasn't content with just turning my family against me. She wanted to make my life miserable. She shared my phone number with her friends, who bombarded me with hateful messages and calls. My car was vandalized, eggs smashed against the windshield, hateful notes scrawled on the windows. One morning, I walked outside to find all 4 tires slashed, a piece of paper taped to the door with a chilling message, "Stay away or else." I felt like I was losing control, like my world was spiraling out of order. The sister I had once admired, even if from a distance, had turned into a stranger, someone I didn't recognize. I didn't know what to do, who to turn to. The isolation was suffocating. But then I found an online support group. People shared their stories of toxic family dynamics, their advice on how to protect themselves. It was a lifeline, a reminder that I wasn't alone. They encouraged me to document everything, to take legal action if necessary. It felt daunting, but I knew I couldn't let Anna's actions go unchecked. I started small, installing security cameras around my apartment, saving every threatening message and recording every incident. It was exhausting, but it gave me a sense of control, a way to fight back. And slowly, I began to find my footing. The weeks following Anna's accusations felt like a storm gathering strength, each day bringing new turbulence. What had started as a single heated argument snowballed into a series of confrontations, each more bewildering and painful than the last. Anna seemed intent on making me the villain in her story, a role I never asked for but couldn't escape. The more I tried to distance myself, the more relentless she became. It was as though my silence fueled her determination to prove a narrative only she believed. Her hostility didn't just simmer, it boiled over. I was excluded from family dinners and gatherings without so much as an explanation. The invitations I had once received, albeit out of obligation, were now non-existent. Instead, I'd hear about these events through my grandparents, their voices tinged with concern but never outright saying what we both knew. Anna was cutting me out. My parents didn't question her actions. To them, Anna's word was gospel. If she said I was a problem, then I must be. It didn't seem to matter that her accusations were baseless or that her behavior toward me was spiraling out of control. My protests were met with quiet dismissals or, worse, thinly veiled lectures about family unity. "You should apologize, Lily," my mother said one afternoon, as though that simple act could erase the weeks of torment I'd endured. Apologize? For what? For existing. The rumors Anna spread about me were cruel and absurd. She told anyone who would listen that I was jealous of her relationship with Mark, that I had always tried to undermine her happiness. "Lily's always been envious," she told our parents. "She can't stand to see me succeed." I heard about these comments second-hand, but the sting was no less sharp. It felt like my name had become synonymous with betrayal in my family's eyes. As if that wasn't enough, Anna escalated her campaign beyond words. It started small. Anonymous text messages calling me names, telling me to back off. At first I dismissed them as random spam, but the timing was too coincidental. Then came the phone calls, relentless, invasive. Anna had shared my number with her friends, and they wasted no time flooding my inbox with hateful messages. Each one felt like another brick in the wall of isolation she was building around me. The harassment didn't stop there. One morning I stepped outside to find my car covered in eggs, the yolks running down the windshield in sticky yellow streaks. A note taped to the window read, "Stay away." My stomach churned as I peeled it off, the paper trembling in my hands. I tried to convince myself it was a prank, a bad joke that would end soon. But it didn't. A week later, my mailbox was smashed, its contents scattered across the sidewalk. A month after that, I found all 4 tires of my car slashed, a new note left behind. "You've been warned." The fear settled deep in my bones. I couldn't sleep. every creak of the floorboards or rustle of the wind outside sending my heart racing. My once cozy apartment now felt like a cage, its walls closing in with every passing day. I considered reaching out to Anna to try reasoning with her one last time, but the thought of facing her wrath again made my chest tighten. How do you reason with someone who's convinced you're their enemy? I felt like I was unraveling, one thread at a time. My work suffered. My friends noticed the change in me. "You seem distracted," one of them said during a video call, her concern evident. I wanted to tell her everything, to pour out the fear and frustration that had taken root in my heart, but the words wouldn't come. Admitting the truth felt like giving it power, like acknowledging that Anna had succeeded in breaking me. In my desperation, I turned to an online support group. It was a late-night Google search that led me there, the glowing screen of my laptop casting long shadows across my room. The group's tagline read, "You're not alone," and for the first time in weeks, I felt a flicker of hope. I spent hours scrolling through stories from people who had faced similar struggles, their words a lifeline in the sea of chaos that had become my life. But the transition wasn't easy. The trauma of the past months lingered, a shadow that followed me everywhere. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, my heart racing from dreams of slashed tires and threatening notes. Every creak of the floorboards, every distant knock sent a jolt of fear through me. Even in my new home, I couldn't shake the feeling that Anna was somehow watching, waiting for her chance to strike again. Therapy became a lifeline. My sessions were a safe space to unpack the tangled mess of emotions that had built up inside me. My therapist, a kind woman named Dr. Patel, listened patiently as I recounted everything. Anna's accusations, the harassment, the court case. "You've been through a lot," she said one day, her voice calm but firm. "It's going to take time to heal. Be patient with yourself." Her words stayed with me. Healing wasn't going to happen overnight, but I was determined to take it one step at a time. I started focusing on small victories, cooking a meal without checking my phone for threats, taking a walk without glancing over my shoulder, laughing at a friend's joke without feeling guilty for finding joy amidst the pain. These moments, though small, felt monumental. Work became a welcome distraction. My freelancing business, which had suffered during the height of Anna's campaign against me, slowly began to recover. Clients who had heard about my ordeal reached out with words of support and encouragement. "You handled it with so much strength," one client wrote in an email. "If anyone can come back from this, it's you." Their faith in me reignited a spark I thought I had lost. I poured myself into my projects, losing hours in the rhythm of creating. Painting, writing, designing. It all became an outlet for the emotions I couldn't always put into words. Each piece felt like a step forward, a reminder that I was more than the pain Anna had caused. My art, once a hobby, now felt like a lifeline, a way to reclaim parts of myself I thought were gone forever. Amidst the healing, there were moments of doubt, nights when the weight of it all felt too much to bear, memories of my parents' cold dismissals. Their unwavering support for Anna despite everything she had done haunted me. "She's your sister." My mother's voice echoed in my mind, laced with disappointment. But what kind of sister does the things Anna had done? What kind of family turns a blind eye to harassment and cruelty? My grandparents were my only tether to the family I had once known. Their calls were filled with warmth and concern, their words a balm to the wounds left by my parents' indifference. "You did the right thing, Lily," my grandmother said during one such call. "Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise. You deserve peace." Her words brought tears to my eyes, a reminder that I wasn't completely alone. One day, as I was organising my new apartment, a message from Mark appeared in my inbox. My heart skipped a beat as I opened it, unsure of what to expect. "Lily, I'm sorry about everything. I had to make a choice, and I hope you find peace." The words were simple but genuine, a stark contrast to the chaos Anna had created. I read the message over and over, each time feeling a little lighter. Mark's acknowledgement, though brief, felt like a validation of everything I had endured. With time, I began to find joy in the small things. Morning walks in the crisp air, coffee with friends who had stood by me, evenings spent painting by the soft glow of my desk lamp. These moments, once overshadowed by fear, now felt precious. I surrounded myself with people who truly cared, friends who reminded me of my worth and helped me see the light amidst the darkness. But healing isn't linear. There were setbacks, moments when the memories came rushing back like a tidal wave. Nights when I lay awake, replaying the events in my mind, questioning if I could have done something differently. Therapy helped me navigate these moments, reminding me that progress didn't mean perfection. "You're allowed to feel everything," Dr. Patel said during one session. "The fear, the anger, the sadness, they're all valid, but don't let them define you." Her words became a mantra. Slowly, I began to let go of the guilt and shame that had weighed me down. I started to see myself not as a victim, but as someone who had survived, someone who had faced unimaginable pain and come out stronger. The walls I had built around myself were no longer a fortress of fear, but a foundation for growth. As I stood in my new apartment one evening, the city lights twinkling outside my window, I felt a sense of peace I hadn't known in years. The scars Anna had left behind would always be a part of me, but they no longer held me captive. I was free, not just from her, but from the expectations and criticisms that had defined my life for so long. For the first time, I felt like I was living for myself, not for my family's approval or anyone else's validation, and that, more than anything, was the greatest victory of all. After months of rebuilding, I began to feel like my life was finally my own. The echoes of Anna's accusations and the turmoil she caused were fading, replaced by moments of peace I had fought so hard to reclaim. My new apartment was no longer just a safe space. It was starting to feel like home. Each painting on the wall and every piece of furniture I carefully chose was a testament to my resilience. But even in this newfound calm, life had a way of testing me. One evening, as I sat by the window sketching, my phone buzzed with a message. I hesitated for a moment, the memory of hateful text still fresh in my mind. But when I glanced at the screen, my heart sank. It was a message from my mother. "Anna's struggling, Lily. She needs you." Those words stirred something inside me. Not anger, not guilt, but exhaustion. I stared at the screen, my pencil frozen mid-stroke. For months I had endured Anna's relentless campaign to break me down. I had fought tooth and nail to protect myself and build a life free from her toxicity. Now my family expected me to swoop in and save her from the consequences of her actions. I closed my sketchbook and let out a deep sigh. My mother's message wasn't a request, it was a demand, thinly veiled in concern. "You should forgive her," my father had said during our last strained conversation. Forgive her? For what? For the tire slashing? The hateful notes? The courtroom humiliation? Every word they spoke about Anna seemed to erase the pain she'd caused me, as if her struggles outweighed my suffering. Still, I couldn't bring myself to block the message or ignore it completely. I stared at it for what felt like hours, torn between anger and the faintest flicker of hope. Was it possible Anna had finally realized the damage she'd done? Did she regret the choices that led to her downfall? But deep down, I knew better. Regret wasn't Anna's strong suit, and taking responsibility for her actions had never been her way. Instead of responding, I turned off my phone and decided to go for a walk. The city was alive with the hum of evening activity. Couples laughing at cafe tables, streetlights flickering on as the sun dipped below the horizon. I walked aimlessly, letting the cool air clear my thoughts. Every step felt like I was putting more distance between myself and the weight of my family's expectations. When I returned home, I sat down with a cup of tea, letting the warmth seep into my hands. My thoughts drifted to the life I was building, the friends who had become my chosen family, the art that brought me solace, the freedom I had fought so hard to claim. I wasn't ready to give that up, not for Anna, not for anyone. That night I made a decision. I would not let my family's guilt pull me back into the chaos. My peace was hard-earned, and I intended to keep it. The call from Anna came out of nowhere. Her voice was cold and sharp as she told me I wasn't invited to her wedding because Mark, her fiancé, supposedly had feelings for me. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Mark and I barely spoke beyond polite conversations at family gatherings. I tried to defend myself, but she didn't want to listen. She hung up, leaving me stunned and questioning everything. Our relationship had always been strained, with Anna thriving in the spotlight while I was the family's black sheep. This, however, was a new level of hostility I hadn't expected. After that call, the fallout began. Anna spun a story, painting me as jealous and manipulative. My parents didn't question her, and soon I found myself isolated from the family. Anna's actions escalated. Hateful messages from her friends flooded my phone, my car was vandalized, and threatening notes appeared on my doorstep. Every act felt like another reminder of how alone I was. I turned to an online support group for advice. Their kindness and guidance became my lifeline. They encouraged me to document everything, and I followed their advice, installing cameras and saving every message as evidence. With their support, I sought legal help. My lawyer helped me build a strong case against Anna, and we went to court. The process was grueling, but the judge issued a restraining order against her, along with mandatory therapy and a suspended sentence. For the first time, I felt like someone believed me. Still, my parents sided with Anna, accusing me of overreacting and destroying the family. Their lack of support stung, but it only reinforced my decision to walk away. I moved to a new apartment, updating my contact information and cutting off ties with those who had enabled Anna. The quiet of my new home was jarring at first, but it soon became a sanctuary. Therapy helped me process the trauma, though the scars Anna left were deep. My work slowly picked up again, and I found peace in my art. Each painting felt like a step toward reclaiming myself, a reminder that I was more than the chaos Anna had caused. One evening, my mother messaged me, asking me to forgive Anna and help her through the aftermath of the court case. For a moment I hesitated. A part of me wanted to believe that reconciliation was possible, but I knew better. Helping Anna would mean sacrificing the hard-won peace I had built. I chose to protect myself, letting go of the guilt they tried to place on me. Mark reached out to me not long after, apologizing for everything and wishing me peace. His message was brief but genuine, a small moment of validation in a sea of doubt. It reminded me that I didn't need my family's approval or apologies to move forward. My healing was my own, and I was determined to keep building the life I deserved. Though Anna later reached out with a half-hearted apology, I remained firm in my boundaries. Her words couldn't undo the damage she had done. I acknowledged her pain but refused to let it drag me back into the chaos. Instead, I focused on my growth, surrounded by friends who truly cared for me. Now as I sit in my apartment, I feel a sense of peace I never thought possible. The echoes of my family's expectations no longer haunt me. I've learned to let go of what doesn't serve me and embrace the life I've created. For the first time, I feel free, not just from Anna, but from the weight of trying to belong in a family that never truly saw me. Sometimes walking away isn't giving up, it's choosing yourself. And that choice has made all the difference.